Hi guys, my name is Parker and today I'm going to be doing my cultural artifact presentation on DVDs, specifically watching movies and TV shows on a DVD. I'm also going to be covering how DVDs affected culture in the time that they were released, are affecting our culture today, and will continue to affect the culture going forward in the future. I've chosen to analyze DVDs because growing up, I've always been fascinated by them. My dad personally had a large DVD collection with two bookshelves on either side of the TV in the living room. We had so many DVDs to choose from when I was a kid, and I just remember the excitement of getting to look through the shelves and browse the DVDs to pick one out to watch as a family. That was always so exciting. It's a core memory for me, and I want to address that culture and how I foresee that culture making a comeback in the years to come. Now, when DVDs came out, they were a big deal because they were so much smaller than VHS tapes. They were more reliable, they were cheaper to purchase, and you were able to rent them for very cheap. And that was a big selling point for them. But a lot of people weren't quite ready to switch over from VHS tapes. I was born in the year 2000, and DVDs were really popular in people's homes, but it wasn't always like that. There was some pushback at the beginning. The website How Stuff Works wrote an article about this, and they said, home video changed the entire business model of film, giving movies a second life and another chance to turn a profit from right inside people's homes. So we saw that this boomed with VHS tapes, giving people another chance to see movies, and that was a really big deal for the movie industry to turn more of a profit. But people weren't quite ready to move on from VHS tapes. They had just gotten comfortable with them. They had only been around for a little over a decade when DVDs were introduced into the scene. I remember personally my parents had some pushback on switching from VHS to DVDs because they didn't want to have to buy one of those VHS DVD player combos, and I feel like that was the reason for a lot of people. But there were quite a few reasons in the introductory years of the DVDs why people didn't want to switch over from VHS. The first reason is that the technology was so new. People didn't know a lot about it. They didn't know why they would need to switch over, and that's mostly because people didn't understand the difference in quality that DVDs offered over VHS. The video and audio quality was unmatched in terms of being so much closer to the movie theater experience than a VHS tape was. And while we see these pushbacks, we also see a lot of reasons why people were excited to adopt DVDs into their homes and push VHS tapes out of popularity. One of the major selling points was the inclusion of bonus features and deleted scenes from movies that we see on DVDs. If you look at several DVDs from the years when they were growing into popularity, you'll see that there's often a second disc that has only special features and deleted scenes and interviews from the movie. Now, with YouTube not being a thing during that time, this was the only place you could access that kind of information, and that was a major selling point for DVDs as they were rising to popularity. Of course, another one of those selling points was the quality that I mentioned before. Now, at this point in history, we're talking between 1996, the year that DVDs were introduced, to 2005, DVDs were skyrocketing in sales. They peaked at $25.2 billion in sales in the year 2005. And from 1996 to 2005, they skyrocketed each and every year, having an increase. But around 2006, 2007, it started to level out before in 2008, dropping 28% and going down every year since then. But that brings us to where we are today. We're in this post-DVD world where we see the streaming video culture coming in and staying seemingly in this place of popularity where so many people today believe that's where we're going to be going forward. But while the average person believes that a streaming service is better than a DVD collection, I would have to disagree, and I'd like to plead my case for that as we talk about where DVDs stand in our culture today. The main reason that DVDs were phased out by streaming services was because of convenience. People now had this opportunity to not have to go to the store and buy a DVD. They didn't have to go to the rental store and rent a DVD and remember to take it back. They could just rent it on their TV with movies on demand, or just pull it up on their phone and watch it whenever and wherever they wanted. Now, with people being able to stream nowadays, you do have to rely on a good internet connection, or it will either not let you watch the movie, or it will compromise the quality completely. Now, that's something that you don't have to worry about with DVDs, which is a reason that I believe they are still relevant. You don't have to worry about having an internet connection. You never have to worry about the quality being less than. Another reason that people are choosing streaming services over DVDs is because of the vast selection that's at their fingertips. People believe that just because there's so much quantity on a streaming service, it means that they are better than the DVDs. But what I want to address is that there are so many streaming services coming into the market today that DVDs might still be relevant in our culture. Because initially we started out with just Netflix. Everything we wanted was on Netflix. But when people saw the rise in popularity on Netflix, they wanted to get in on the profit of that market. So now we have so many streaming services such as Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, and so many more even being introduced still to this year. And it's spreading out all this content to where if you want access to all your favorite movies, you're going to need a minimum of 2 to 3 streaming services. And at that point, it might just be better to get the DVD copy of those movies so you never have to worry about someone losing the rights to be able to stream it, and you can just always have it accessible. The first reason why I believe DVDs will remain relevant as we go into the future and what they're going to look like in our culture is because physical media just cannot be matched. Suderman said that physical media, which isn't beholden to the vagaries of internet connections and unpowered home Wi-Fi networks, is clearly preferable in most circumstances. Even when viewing the highest quality streaming on the newest television, the quality is just not matched. See, DVDs are not going to become irrelevant as long as people continue to care about the quality of the movie that they are viewing. Which brings us to another reason they will always be available to watch. Like I mentioned before, all of these streaming services competing against one another means that movies are constantly bouncing back and forth from streaming service to streaming service. I was recently getting into the Harry Potter movies, and I signed up for Peacock because that is the streaming service that they were streaming on. And after just a month of having Peacock, HBO Max got the rights to Harry Potter and they were taken off of Peacock. So rather than going and signing up for a new streaming service, I canceled my Peacock and just got the DVD copies, and I have not had any problems since then. The last reason I want to talk about for why DVDs are going to continue to be relevant is because of the collectible nature of them. So many people prefer to be able to hold something in their hand and look at how appealing it looks on a shelf. And we just can't argue against the fact that holding something physical is so much more satisfying than scrolling through your phone until you find something that you want to watch. A company called Recordhead has this very, in my opinion, unbeatable quote. They said, if vinyl records could disappear and resurface, why can't DVDs and other home paraphernalia do the same? Now, that is the summary of how I believe DVD culture is going to look moving forward. It may be viewed as retro technology as we're moving into the future, but I believe that DVD's relevance will never go away. It's had such a big cultural effect on home viewing movies, and I believe that that effect is going to continue through the years as we see streaming services start to get backlash and DVD sales starting to go up as the years go on from now. So I hope you have learned something today about the cultural significance of DVDs and why I believe that they are still relevant and will continue to become more relevant as the years go on.